What's the gossip?
Gossip in the Grove.
What's the gossip?
Gossip in the Grove.
What's the gossip?
Welcome to Gossip in the Grove. I'm Scarlett Mayfield,
And I'm Ariadne Alvidres.
and today we are joined by a special guest, Miss Leah Wright. Hi, Miss Leah. Welcome.
Hello, thank you.
Yeah. So today we're going to talk a little bit about your business, So Ducking Right. Right? That's how you say
Yes.
it. Okay. So tell us a little bit about it, how you started it, where it came from, and what you do.
Sure. So I have always been a creative person. My entire life, I started cross stitching and sewing when I was 7. I was always playing with paints and markers. And so that's always been a big piece of my personality. And of course, as times have changed and the economy's changed, people are looking for different ways to get their supplies for arts and crafts projects. There is a store in Nashville that everyone loves. No one loves the drive. So we kept hearing that this area needed a store that was similar to that. And the concept of the store is it's an arts and crafts supplies thrift shop. People donate their used arts and craft supplies or things that they have that are new and they just don't know what to do with it. They're done with it. It's cluttering. They want it out of their house, but they don't want to mess with trying to sell it through Marketplace. They don't want to take it to those other thrift stores that don't treat craft supplies correctly. So that's where our store comes in. We had the opportunity fall in our laps at the end of 2023 to open the store, and we officially opened on January 1st of last year. And it has been a rousing success.
Wow.
So our arts and craft supplies that come in, we reprice them at drastically lower than retail prices, 30 to 50% of retail price for most things. Some things are even cheaper. We have rubber stamps, y'all, for 25 cents a piece. And this is the expensive Stampin' Up! Stamps that people pay like $20 per stamp for. So our goal is to keep this stuff out of the landfills, get it out of our houses so we can purge and declutter, and also allow the artisans in the community to get their supplies for a lot cheaper than going to those big box stores and paying those full prices. So it's been fun. But we also have a 3D print shop in the building. So we subscribe.
I see you brought some
Yes,
today.
yes, I brought examples. We have our fat little hippo.
That looks like Moodang.
Yeah. We have all kinds of, we call these our pocket pets. So we have tons of little animals
is
that
so
we printed and put out. We can do awareness ribbons in different colors. This is our version of the autism ribbon. We have fidget clickers.
My son's autistic. That's why she looked at me like that.
And something that I've had fun with lately is earrings. So I'm taking different
Okay.
designs that I can get my hands on and converting them into an earring. They're really lightweight. They wear really well. We can do them in any colors. The ones I have on are also 3D printed.
So how did you learn? Like, did you just decide one day, like, let's try doing 3D print?
Yeah. So I've been working from home for about 10 years.
Okay.
And a couple of years ago, I was looking for another thing to fill my time. ADHD, I jumped from one thing to the next. And my husband mentioned 3D printing. And I did the research and bought our first 3D printer. And he did not touch it for the first year we had it, year and a half that we had it. I learned everything about it. I learned how to, find the files and how to set up the printer and calibrate the printer. And this was before the nice newer printers came out that do a lot of that for you. So like I actually had little feeler gauges from the hardware store leveling my bed. It was a pain. It was so intimidating that I barely touched it for the first 3 months. And then I finally got in the groove of printing. Then we upgraded printers and opened the store shortly after we upgraded printers. And we've gone from that one tiny little tinkering printer that we had at home to now 7 3D printers at the store.
Oh, wow.
That's
a lot.
It is. The community has been great. And, we go beyond just selling the pre-made stuff. We can do some custom files. I've been teaching myself how to do CAD design. So I can
Okay.
actually go into Fusion 360 and I can't do this stuff. These pretty little sculptural things are not in my wheelhouse. But you tell me you need something like I'm going to take a 2D shape and I'm going to turn it into a 3D print design. Or, you know, we're doing a project right now for a local business owner. She wants some swag to go out with some of her orders. So I took a base design and then I've added her logo and her shop name and some things to it. We do wholesale for another local business in the Clarksville area. She does Crocs charms for all of the sports teams, Crocs charms and earrings,
wow.
and she's starting to venture into keychains. We do all of her 3D printed bases for those.
That's really cool.
So it's really cool seeing all the different ways that the 3D printing can be used, and not only can be used, but keeps that project and that money in the local community, which is a big piece of our mission. Keep as much of this money in the local area as possible. But there's also cool things like a friend of mine repairs sewing machines. She lives in Atlanta. She bought a sewing machine that the reverse lever was broken on. She couldn't get it to stay on no matter what she tried. She mailed it to me. I modeled up a new one, 3D printed it, and mailed it back to her. And she was able to finish the project and sell that sewing machine.
Wow.
So, you know, I've made gears for self-watering lawnmower or lawn waterers that kind of travel around the lawn by the force of the water. So I made a gear for one of those because it had stopped moving. We've 3D printed shelves. We've 3D printed.
I know. I'm trying to picture
yeah.
like how
Yeah.
big is a 3D
Yeah.
3D printed shelf? You know, like
Are we
wow.
talking like a regular
So
size?
you can
or are
do
we
stuff
doing,
that
like...
big, but you have to split it apart,
Mhm.
print it in pieces, and then glue it back together.
Oh, okay.
But now we've got little small display shelves that we can do that
Okay.
are like separate tiers for smaller things. We
Right
even
for
did
like people that maybe do craft shows or something
Exactly.
like that. Okay.
We even did something really cool here a while back. It was somebody who has an older Toyota Tacoma truck, and he was trying to put Stanley cups in it, and the cup holder wouldn't hold the cup. They kept falling over.
Oh,
So we
you
made him an insert to go in his cup holder that
That's
would hold
cool.
his Stanley in place. So it's been fun seeing what projects people bring to us and what we can either find a file. Can we find a file that already solves their problem, or can we make the file ourselves? Can I go into Fusion 360 and can I design this thing to solve their problem? So it's really amped up my 3D print design skills and
Okay.
forced me to learn some additional things. So it's been interesting. We've had a lot of fun with it. But yeah, as businesses just kept growing, we've just kept adding printers. We just got our 7th one the other day.
How do you how do you manage all that? Is it just you and your husband?
It's just me and my husband.
And you guys just run back and forth
Yes.
between the 7 printers?
Um,
or?
and to add some more complication to it, I also work a full-time job.
Oh.
So I work my full-time job from the store. I handle primarily the customers, and then after work and on the weekends, I handle putting out the thrift store inventory, things that have been donated through the week. He manages all of the 3D printer stuff. Once we open the store, I turn all of that over to him. Like, look, you're going to learn these printers.
Yeah. I know you didn't want to, but
Yeah,
it's your job now.
Before he just didn't have time, and then when he stepped away from his full-time job and we went into the store, then he's kind of become the subject matter expert for those 3D printers. So yeah, he manages all of that. We'll throw ideas off of each other in terms of what needs to be printed next, and then he handles that whole process top to bottom. Somebody will come in with some off-the-wall, I want, this hippo in these colors, and he has fun playing with them and setting up exactly what they're looking for. But yeah, it's just the two of us. We're a very small crew. We've been able to do it just ourselves. We have some friends who come in and volunteer and help us every now and then when they know we're kind of in the weeds with things. We did some remodeling last week, and 2 of our friends dropped in and said, okay, we're here to help.
Oh, that's so great.
So our friends have been great. The community's been very supportive. But we couldn't do it without the customers and our friends and all of the support we've had from other people.
Well, and you guys post a lot on Facebook
We
too.
do.
Like every time I'm scrolling, I see something you guys post. So I think
Yes.
that's awesome too that you're able to keep up with all of that.
Yeah, Facebook has been our bread and butter in terms of people finding out what we have in store, and then also just getting the word out because people are sharing our posts and telling other people about us. We post all of our inventory that's going out on the floor on our Facebook page and allow people to claim from those photos. We just ask that they either pick up within 3 days or stay in touch with us if they can't get to us within 3 days. So people will sit and stalk our page on Saturdays
I'm just waiting.
because they know that's when I'm posting inventory. We've also just recently this week started a new series of posts, WTF Juniper. So we have a Maine Coon that sleeps in the most bizarre positions. And we know a lot of our customers love cats.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I've been sharing his photos on my personal Facebook for a long time. So now I'm starting to share some of those on our store page just because our customers absolutely love them.
Does he hang out in the store?
No.
Oh.
So he's a menace, and
Okay.
he
He would
would
just cause many troubles, huh?
he would be knocking stuff over. He would be eating things. He would be running out the door to go see what trouble he could get into.
Sounds about right.
So yeah, he doesn't. We do occasionally take our dachshunds up there, but they're so loud. We don't do that often. But yeah, I would love to have a shop cat, but not Juniper.
So, if someone's trying to donate, like, how does that work? Do they donate
Yeah.
items? Do they sell you the items?
So we don't buy items, thrift
Okay.
items, because we would have to raise our prices too much.
Right,
For
okay.
us to be able to buy that inventory, we would lose the aspect of we're helping our customers save money.
Okay.
So we do take donations. Think of us as that other blue and white thrift store that's very large, except for for arts and craft supplies.
Right. Okay.
So we will take any artsy crafty items, new or used but usable, and we give you a coupon for 10% off every time you bring us a donation.
Oh.
Some people will keep a stash of stuff in their car. So if they know they're coming over to our side of town and they're going to drop in, they've already got some items in the car and they can grab one, bring it in, save 10% on their purchase that day. So we're perfectly fine with that. We actually had somebody one time who knew they were coming in to spend quite a bit because they knew what we had just gotten in and they reserved it. So they stopped at Ollie's and bought a couple of books and brought them with them. And still saved way more than they spent.
I mean, it works. So.
It does.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
does. But we take donations anytime we're open. So they just bring them in the front door to the counter. Either myself or my husband will take those. We just ask, no donations that are moldy or have a lot of really strong
Yeah.
odors. We unfortunately do have to put those straight in the trash because we can't risk bringing mold into the business and causing any kind of problems with our customers and with any of the other donations that we have in the building.
Okay. I have a question.
Sure.
Personal question. So I do a lot of diamond paintings, and I have a lot of the diamonds left over. Is that something I could bring in?
Absolutely.
Because I do separate them
Yeah.
per color. So
Yeah.
they're all organized.
We have people all the time tell us, I've got these things, but it's just a little bit, and I
Yeah.
don't really want to throw it away, but nobody's going to buy that.
Yeah, because I feel like
You-
someone could use them.
You would
They're just sitting
be
in my house.
surprised. You would be surprised at the things people come in looking for. People will, my husband thought I was crazy when we first opened because I was taking, say somebody bring in a yarn donation, and there were a bunch of really small amounts of yarn. And I would still cake up what I could, or I'd do a mixed bag of all these tiny little mismatched pieces that were just small quantities. It's like, nobody's going to buy that. Yeah, they sell every single time.
Yeah.
So that's one of the great things about our store is if you're working on a project and you only need a small amount of something, but you can only find it in large quantities at the other stores, come see us. We may have it in those smaller quantities. So it can help serve a few purposes. You're saving money. You're not cluttering up your house with additional things, and you never know what you're going to find in our store. One of my favorite parts of owning the store is getting those estate donations. Someone passes away, they go in long-term care, their family has no idea what to do with their stuff, and sometimes that stuff ends up with us. You can see and feel all of the love that went into all of the projects that come in through those donations, and that is absolutely my favorite part. Because we get to be the stewards of those items and help those items find another home with someone else who's going to love them, hopefully as much as the previous person loved them. We had a customer not long ago who brought in a velvet jumpsuit that she made when she was 16 years old in the 60s. And she had washed it and the seams had come apart a little bit. She had forgotten that she had it. Her sister found it in their parents' attic and said, "Here's this jumpsuit you made." And she was so proud of this piece when she brought it in. And she's like, I really just hope someone can do something with this. And the person it went to, I guarantee you, is going to do something really cool with it. I know the person who took it. I know she's going to put that same type of love into that project. And she's going to come up with something really cool for one of her granddaughters using that material.
Aw.
So I love these things. You know, those donations that have those old school polyester prints from the 60s and 70s. Love them. So
No,
brings
I'm right
back
there with you.
memories. You know, my great grandmother made some quilts when I was younger and used a lot of those polyester prints in her quilts. And so I see these prints come in. I'm like, this is my great grandmother's love right
nostalgic.
here. You know, I remember this print in her quilt. But we get to see stuff too that people haven't seen in a long time. We get some crafts that come through from 50s, 60s, 70s that are different tools or different patterns. We get so much macrame stuff in that goes right back out the door because macrame is seeing a resurgence. We try to take requests from people where they say, I'm looking for this thing. The problem is it's just me and my husband.
Right.
So we can't always remember what people are looking for, but we do our best. But it's really neat seeing the things that are circling back around. And it's neat seeing the resurgence in the fiber arts and things, especially among the younger generation. We've got she's probably, I think, 8 years old. She's doing sewing lessons at our store right now with one of our friends, and she's learning how to sew and loving it. We've got a couple other kids that are 10, 11 years old. They're coming in, and mom's not buying the crochet hooks and the yarn. The kids are.
Yeah, I've seen that. I feel like is
Yes.
really picking up the crocheting.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of that
Absolutely.
on TikTok
Yes.
of people just crocheting.
Yes. And we actually just brought in some new crochet kits that we're starting to bring in some new things that we know are marketable in our local area that we can also get for a decent price. Trying to fill the void from, you know, the local craft store closing. We're not mentioning names here, but trying to fill some voids. We also realized the other day that we can order directly from Mod Podge. And so we have every variety of Mod Podge they allowed me to order the other day,
love
including the gold glitter dishwasher safe version, which I did not know existed. So we're trying to find those ways we can meet the community, the things they're looking for. We've had safety eyes, crochet safety eyes since day one, because we kept hearing, sure, we can find these locally, but they sell out really quickly or there's very few options. So I always keep crochet safety eyes on hand because my customers have learned I know that I can go there and I can find some. Even if it's not the exact size I'm looking for, I'm going to find something that'll work.
Yeah.
So we bring in things like that, or those bulk items. Those things are only available in huge quantities that nobody else wants to pay for. You know, one person doesn't want to buy 50 zippered bags to get one.
Yeah.
So we can buy those and bring them in and break down the packs and sell them as singles. So it helps the community in that way as well, because we do have the resources to bring in some more of that stuff that maybe is not as accessible.
Speaking of you were talking about the sewing class and stuff. You guys have classes
do.
there quite often, don't you? Can you
We do.
tell us about those?
So our class space is free to use, which
Okay.
is unusual in the community. Most of the places in the local area do charge for their space. And the only thing that we ask is if there is a cost that's associated with the class for some reason that we get reimbursed. So we're not paying someone money to use our class or our classroom space. But essentially anybody who wants to teach us class at our store is welcome to. They can use it for meetups. They can use it for clubs to get together. The sewing lessons are a private lesson. Somebody is like, I want to use your space to do these. Can I do it here? We said, sure. We do crochet classes, usually monthly. We do painting, at least one painting class a month, and those are taught by Jayla Love, who also teaches painting classes at ArtLink and a few other places around town.
Okay.
We have a couple of new classes coming up next month that I haven't even posted yet. You guys are hearing it first.
Okay.
A cookie decorating class.
Oh, that's exciting.
And a card making class that's going to use some different layering and stamping techniques that are a little different than what we've had in the past.
Okay.
We also usually have 2 Arts for Hearts classes every month. So Arts for Hearts is a traveling art group based out of Clarksville. They're a nonprofit, and they do art programs around the area. So we are their Oak Grove location. They also do some stuff at Habitat for Humanity Restore. They do some things at Wadeboard Nature Center. They do some things at Fisher House on Post. But they do try to book 2 classes with us every month. And it might be, there's one where they take squished industrial size tin cans and make a really pretty wall hanger. You would not think of a tin can being pretty when it's done, but they are. They'll decoupage napkins on them and glue on flowers. They've done some mixed media classes with us. Just a really good assortment of things. They come up with some neat things I wouldn't have thought of.
I
to do as a
love
class.
that I love that your store is not just a store. I love that it keeps
Yes.
art alive in the
Yes.
community.
Well, for us, our location was very strategic. I don't know that we would have opened the store if we had not found the location we found when we found it. One, we're homeowners in Oak Grove, so it was very important for us to have the store in Oak Grove. But we also wanted to be extremely accessible, not only for Oak Grove, but also for Clarksville and Hopkinsville. So we spotted this location on Fort Campbell Boulevard, and if you guys don't know where we are right on Fort Campbell Boulevard in between State Line Road and Gate 4. We are right next door to Jersey Mike's Subs, 6-lane highway right in front of our door. The amount of cars that go past is phenomenal. And still we have people say, we didn't know you were here. We never noticed your sign. I wish we could put flashing lights and a huge inflatable rubber duck outside.
Yeah, put one like on the roof, just a giant inflatable duck.
I have considered putting one on top of my car and parking my car out at the curb. I just need to find the huge inflatable duck. That's the
I
piece
may
I'm
be able to
missing.
hook you up for that.
But the location has been phenomenal. We hear people sometimes will say, well, you're all the way in Oak Grove. I'm like, Clarksville's 0.1 miles that direction.
Yeah.
We have customers who come down from Hopkinsville. We've got several regulars who come down from Cadiz. We've had customers come down from Princeton. One's come up from Smyrna and Nashville and Jolton. So word has gotten around about us, especially within the
great.
community of people who do love the store that's in Nashville because they're realizing there is another option as well. And we absolutely love the store in Nashville too. They've been very supportive. They've actually passed some donations along to us when they've run out of space, and they knew it was something that would sell at in our market. So it's and as a whole, there's been a lot of support within the art community. But yeah, the location has been phenomenal. We've outgrown it. We could easily move into a space double the size we're in now and fill it. But we're settled where we are for now. We just make do with the space we have. Eventually we may move into something bigger.
It's amazing that you've already outgrown it, and it's been like a year, almost a year and a half. Yeah.
And it tickles me when those pictures pop up on Facebook memories of those first few weeks, because we're not going to talk about the percentage of our inventory that came from our house when we opened the store.
Hey, you got to start somewhere.
But it's remarkable looking back and realizing that back then we just had a few fixtures sitting around the wall, and we had a couple of floating tables out in the floor, and we're like, oh, how are we ever going to fill this space? And then a couple of weeks later, we're like, oh no, we're out of space. Okay, we just put 7-foot shelves all the way along one wall a couple of days ago because we have had to start going up to add more space.
Wow.
But it's remarkable looking at the difference between those first few days and then the current set. And there's still inventory in the back room that I've not had a chance to get my hands on. I've got sewing machines back there I need to test and price, and there's a bunch of yarn I need to cake and put out. And but I love it. We could not have imagined that the store would take off as well as it did and would be so well received in the community. Our fears in those first few days was, okay, this is it. If it can't pay its own bills, I don't know how we're going to pay the bills out of our personal funds. And we've been very lucky that the store has managed to pay its own bills every month. We don't pay ourselves because we put every single penny back into that business. We are bringing in new product. We're bringing in new printers. We're bringing in, we've been trying to stock some filament so that the local community can come buy 3D printer filament from us when they run out. We would love to expand that portion of it. With the economy what it is, we've not been able to do it as much as we would like, but we are still trying to find different ways that we can meet the community where they are and meet their needs. So we love the suggestions people bring to us and the ideas they bring to us, and we try to incorporate as much as we can within reason, because we want the people of the local area to keep turning to us as a resource, and we want to be known as that connection point between different services or different communities within the art community itself. We even allow free advertising within our stores. So any artisan in the area is welcome to bring a display piece that will go on the wall. It doesn't matter if it's a photo, if it's a shadow box with products they've created. Say if they do necklaces, they set up a shadow box with the necklaces hanging. It just has to be able to mount on the wall and have their contact information either on it or on something we can hang next to it. We'll put it on the wall. And our point with that is to allow a connection point. We don't have the space to do vendor booths and allow people to bring their products in to be sold. But with this setup, people can come in and see what that person offers, know how to reach them, and make that connection point with those artisans. If they don't want to bring in a hanging piece, then we also have a bulletin board and a business card board. And anybody's welcome to leave information on those as well. We want to help as much as we can and help the community thrive as much as it can. And we know that resources can be a little limited, and those connection points especially can be a little limited. So anywhere we can break down those barriers is a win to us.
That's amazing. Yeah. I love that idea too, that you're making space for other people who
Yes.
want to get their business out there.
Well, and on that same vein, even with our classes that we teach, so if it's a paid class, the artisan is completely in control of what they teach, how they teach it, how much it's going to cost. We set up the registration link for them unless they just really want to handle it themselves. But our ticketing site does charge a very minimal fee. It's like $1.95 on $30. It's not bad. We ask the person signing up for the class to cover that fee with their ticket cost. That way, when that artisan comes in on the night of the class to teach, I can give them that full ticket price. So if it's a $30 class and the registrant pays $32, that artist still gets $30. So we do pass that fee along. That way we're not losing money by teaching the classes, and the artisan is getting as much as possible in their pocket. I've heard that some of the other locations in the area that allow usage of their spaces charge $300 or $400 a pop for a small room.
Yeah.
And we know that's very cost prohibitive for the artist community. My dream would be to grow the store into more than it is right now and make it a full maker space. That furniture store that's on Fort Campbell Boulevard, I would love to be in that building because, and it's just not attainable. I know what the lease payment is on the building, but imagine a space where you could walk in and you could have the thrift store set up. You could have some new art products. You could still have the 3D printing, but then here's a room that's full of yarn. Here's a room that's full of fabric. Here's a room that has a sewing machine you can rent time on. Here's a room with a computer set up where you can go in and learn some 3D print design and play around with a 3D printer. So I envision this area where everybody can really just come together. Here's a studio space that you can rent to come in and paint, because another thing we've heard is that there's not really any viable studio space for artists to rent in the local area, where if they just want to spread all of their paints and canvases out, they can't really do it. They have to pack everything up at the end of the day and take it back home, and it's just a real hindrance to the creative process.
Yeah.
But I would also love to have an art gallery and have a gift shop with new items and have vendor spaces. And so a building like that furniture store,
It's perfect size, and
Exactly.
it's already kind of spaced out
Exactly.
for different room
It's just
setups.
yes.
open.
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, they've got those fake rooms set up where it was the furniture
Yeah.
set. Yes. It'll never happen because, like I said, I know how much the lease
Hey,
payment is
never-
on that
don't
one,
say
but-
don't
Yeah.
say never.
Yeah,
Don't
never
say
say
never.
But we love the fact that we do have the opportunity to be in the community we live in and we love. and to help provide these services and these supplies and have the opportunity eventually to hopefully move into a bigger space and become more of a creative outlet. And we needed it on this side of town because there was nothing really, nothing in Oak Grove, period. If you think about it, Walmart, that was about the only place to get your painting supplies and things. But even there's no vendor spaces. There was nothing really artistic in Oak Grove, and really just an absence of locally owned businesses in general in Oak Grove, which I would love to see change. But there were a few things on the Clarksville side of the line, but we needed it.
Yeah.
And the fact that we are just outside of Gate 4, I mean, just the location.
Yeah, because even
it's
if you look at
phenomenal.
like the Clarksville side of the line, some of the more popular stores that like you're referencing to are like, kind of far into Clarksville.
Yes.
They're not like just right across the line.
Right.
You know?
There was one, and they've actually moved a little farther down. We actually started out with a booth at that store when we first started out with the 3D printing. And then we quickly closed it when we opened our store because we did not have time to stock our store and a booth at their store. But other than them, everything else is all the way on, down on the other side of 101st Parkway or into downtown area or in Sango. Just nothing on this side of town. So, we love all of the development that is happening in Oak Grove. And we know it's going to be good for the local businesses and the local homeowners. And we hope that there is more of a creative community that pops up in this area. And we love that we are in on the ground floor of that. And we maybe can help spur that along.
You might have even been the little seed that planted to make it grow. So I think that's awesome.
Yeah, hopefully within, the next couple of years, you'll be able to move into the
That would be
furniture
awesome.
store.
Yeah.
That would be awesome. I mean, even if we split the space with a couple other businesses, because
Right.
it's the full storefront space plus the warehouse space, and just it's a dream space. But
yeah.
it would take one heck of an angel investor to cover the lease before we can consider it, I think. But we'll get there. We'll keep growing. We will still keep whatever we end up doing in the Oak Grove community.
Yeah.
Like I said, we're homeowners here. We're invested in the growth of Oak Grove, and we want to see it continue to thrive. And, there really is an absence of locally owned businesses. You've got businesses that are owned by people in Clarksville, but if you think about it, there's not very many Oak Grove owners of Oak Grove businesses. You've got a few that are run out of houses, or like AirTech is run out of that small office, but a lot of our other stuff is outsiders. And I want to see more of our local community become invested in us growing. We've been such a transient bedroom community. People come in, they spend their couple of years at Fort Campbell, and they go back out, and they're not invested in the growth. We're a little different. My husband and I are older. He was an Army brat. His parents were settled in the area, which is why we came back to the area. And so we are not headed back out the door. We're here to stay.
Right.
And we know that Oak Grove is starting to have more people settle in and decide to stay. And we want to see more people become invested in making Oak Grove whatever it can become.
I think it's going to. I think especially with obviously like the Buc-ee's coming, and I think that and I mean there's just so much growth like in the works and in the talks that I do think it's going to just take off.
I'm thrilled.
I think it's just going to happen overnight, and Oak Grove's just going to be something that it wasn't before, you know?
I mean, I'm not going to lie. We watch the value of our house climb, and we cheer every time we see that number go up. And we thank our lucky stars that we bought when we did. We bought as soon as the casino was announced.
Oh, yeah. That was smart.
Yeah.
That was real smart.
So we got in before those prices started. Oh, excuse me, the historic gaming room. We got in right before those price increases started, but we can see those prices going up. But we also know that all of that kind of spurs more growth in the community altogether. So I've talked to Jackie and heard a little bit about some of the developments that are being considered.
Yeah.
And I'm excited.
Me too.
I love seeing the commercial businesses that are considering us, and really excited for what's going to potentially be happening in this city.
No, definitely like Scarlett said, the Buc-ee's does bring in
Yes.
a lot of people, people, I'm people. People build road trips around
Yes.
Buc-ee's. I've done it several times before, and I will continue to do it. Just anywhere I'm going, I gotta stop at least one Buc-ee's,
Right.
and I will go whatever town
That's
that
like an
is.
hour out of the way, but you know what? I
Yeah.
gotta hit it.
Yeah, I'm be like, oh, I'm just gonna take a quick left right here, and I'm gonna go to a Buc-ee's, totally out of my way, but I'm gonna do it. Just because some people, Buc-ee's itself is a whole community.
You're right.
So, like when I go, I'll explore the city that it's in. Like I just went to the one in Athens. I think it's Athens, Alabama. I think that's the one that I went to. And then I explored Athens. I went to a lot of local businesses there. I spent quite a bit of money. I'm not gonna say how much, but I did. But yeah, people do that. So
Yes.
being the Buc-ee's right here, they're gonna hopefully they explore Oak Grove a little bit more, and somehow end up right at your doorstep.
Exactly. I know a lot of people, there's a lot of upset over the traffic it's going to bring to town, but you've got to look on the flip side of the dollars it's going to bring into the community. Not only with the tax money it's going to bring into the city, but the spending from the people that are adventuring out from the Buc-ee's, because people are going to go to Buc-ee's and then they're going to go, okay, what other cool things are in this town? And they're going to
Absolutely.
jump over to Fort Campbell Boulevard and they're going to find the little smaller shops.
Yeah, and then with your name
Yes.
of your business, it sticks out so much
Yeah.
that they're gonna be like, I wonder what
Yes.
this is. I'm gonna go
So,
see what this is.
So I have a marketing degree. So that's one of my degrees. We will talk about that. We're slightly naughty. So our short story of our name of our business is we couldn't use an F. Yeah. But our last name is right. So I love puns. And
You didn't make that connection.
yeah.
Not. I've
So-
never seen it written out.
Yeah.
I've only heard it.
So I love puns, and the way our name started is we used to do Amazon return resales on eBay. That was one of the things that we were doing before we actually started the store. My husband was a truck driver for 20 years. He had to get out of the truck. It's just not a good environment anymore.
Yeah.
And so we were playing around with different things. We were doing eBay resales and Amazon resales, actually doing fairly well with it. But we were in a store one day picking up some pallets, and we found a bag of tiny rubber ducks. And I sent a picture of one to my friend, and I'm like, I got to find a way to use these rubber ducks in a business name, because it's the little tiny ones you see everywhere now.
The ones
And
people make TikToks of them hiding all over the place.
Yeah, they're all over the hospital on post.
Oh,
They're all over Pam's office.
yeah, they are.
They're all over the schools. But she came back with So Ducking Right, because she knows I love puns. I'm a little bit naughty. We have a not safe for work 3D prints box at the store, if that gives you any idea. And it actually says, do not look in this box if you're under 18 or easily offended, but if you have a great sense of humor, please look. I'm also working on some other slightly naughty things to go in the box too. But that's the story behind the name. And it's really worked well, because from a marketing perspective, even if people can't remember the name of the store, they remember that duck store.
Yeah.
So if you search for art store, craft store, thrift store, duck store, any of those on Google, you're going to find us.
It's gonna pop right up.
Right. So the duck has really made it stand out. And then, of course, since we have duck in the name, we embrace the Jeep community. So we always have rubber ducks at the store. We've done the rubber duck fidget clickers
love that
along with a
little
bunch of
fidget
other
clicker.
fidget clickers. But the ducks have been fun. They've become a whole thing of their own. People bring us rubber duck stuff all the time. We've got a couple of huge glitter ones, and
Yeah.
I've got one flipping a bird that somebody brought me. And I try to get an assortment. Every time I order rubber ducks, I try to look for ones that I've not brought in before, just to come up with something
Just
fun.
like crazy out
Yes.
of pocket ducks.
Look at these cool ducks I got this time. And people come in and they're like, oh yeah, I want some of those ducks. Because they've become something that's been really fun. And kind of like the pocket pets too. People love these. They're looking for certain things that mean a lot to them. And so we've done really well with the pocket pets, because people going, oh my gosh, this looks like my dog that I had when I was 6.
Well, I think the turtle looks like the turtle from Finding Nemo.
Yeah,
Yes.
Squirt.
Yeah.
Yeah, Squirt. See, I know who Squirt is.
So we have another one from another designer that looks like Crush. He looks like he's been into some substances and has the derpy face. And then the hognose snakes. People love the tiny little hognose snake.
It's a good fidget.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've had a blast with these. We have a good mixture of the fun stuff, and we try to do the functional stuff, and just come up with all kinds of things we can put out that people just find joy
Yeah.
in. And that's a large part of our thing is find joy in what you're doing. Find joy in something every day. And if this tiny little rainbow fidget snake gives somebody joy, then by golly, we're going to sell them some joy, and they can carry that with them and giggle a little bit every time they pull it out to play with it.
Okay. Well, Ari, is there anything else you want to ask?
I don't think so. No.
Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, I think I've talked y'all's ears off today.
Hey, we don't mind. We don't mind. That's what we're here for. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming and chatting with us today. I think we're going to turn it over to Lee for gossip.
This is Lee with Gossip of the Week.
So we have Lee and Leah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
How you doing, Miss Leah?
I'm good. And yourself?
Good. This is Lee with Gossip of the Week. How's it going, ladies?
It's great. We can't wait to hear the gossip.
Got a little bit of gossip for you guys. So the Oak Grove Community Center, they were open 2 days ago for the storm.
Oh, yeah, for shelter, right?
They were open at 4 p.m. and they remained open until the storm had passed. The community center was not an official storm shelter, but it was a safer place for some residents. They allowed people to bring pillows, chargers, etc. The community center did provide an area for
Right.
our Oak Grove residents to be a
Where
little
they
bit
might be at
safer.
home.
Correct.
Yeah.
So shout out to the Oak Grove Community Center for that.
Yeah, yeah, that's great.
That is pretty great.
YAPAC is here today in Oak Grove, Kentucky. We're at the Oak Grove Community Center helping with some supplies to set up their distribution center. So if you've been affected by the floods, we'd be happy to see you here. I have Janet. She's going to give us a little more information about that.
Hi everybody, this is Janet Edwards. I'm one of the council members here in the city of Oak Grove. And first of all, we are so blessed to have you and your organization come down. This is going to help so many people, so thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So if you are in need, you can come down to the Oak Grove Community Center at 1705 Thompsonville Lane anytime between the hours of 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. We're offloading it right now, as you can see, and we should be up and ready to go about 10 o'clock on Thursday morning.
So just be careful because these storms are coming in. They're wiping everything out.
Yeah, yeah, they really are.
They're even taking pets out of
do you-
homes.
Be laughing. So sad.
But we put a state of emergency out. The mayor did.
Yes.
Shout out to the mayor. She put a state of emergency out. The community center's been helping out a lot from what I've been seeing.
Yeah, I think they just had an event where you could go, if you lost things in the flood, you
Yes.
could go get like
Yes.
items. They had like everything there, like
I saw.
diapers and
Yes.
formula and like kits for your
Yeah.
car and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I've noticed that the Oak Grove community itself is very tight knit, and it's honestly it's insane.
Yeah, they really
Yeah.
been coming together and helping each other out.
Yeah,
like-
all the
Yeah.
time. Like I witnessed it firsthand during our festival where, when the tornado hit, like we
Oh,
had
yeah,
everyone,
last year.
the whole community came in and helped us. Like we didn't even ask. Like everyone just came and helped, and I think that's really good.
That's
like it's
amazing,
amazing.
It's good because not a lot of communities are that tight knit, but I see that we
No.
are. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So,
Yeah.
yeah. If anybody is struggling or needs any help, go to the community center. Reach out. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure there's gonna be some Oak Grove residents that help out. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I believe they've still got some of the packets
Yeah.
that they were giving out, some of the bundles of food and things the
That's
other
good.
day. There's also been some food trucks that have really been kicking in. I can't remember who was there last week, but yesterday Von Sawa was there.
Awesome.
giving out free jerk chicken trays. And they didn't even specify that it was just for the people affected. So I went over and picked some up, and I'm like, please take all the money in my wallet.
Wow.
And he's like, no, this is free. I don't care. Take all the money in my wallet. You guys are doing an amazing service in this community today. You don't even live in this community. You're Hopkinsville people, but you've taken time out of your day to come down and feed the Oak Grove community. Please take my money.
That is
Yeah.
But there's been some amazing outreach, and like I said, the community really coming together. That Man of War neighborhood that's so cut off right now, they've put a dumpster out there. I think at that one, I know the Cavalcade neighborhood has been really hit hard, but there's been a couple of people in the Facebook groups that have been popping up. Okay, what do you need? I will find a way. I've got kayaks. I can bring it to you.
Right.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
They have been phenomenal. Unfortunately, some friends of ours are in the house that's so underwater in Man of War is theirs. It came within a couple of feet of the bottom of their roof. And so their house is completely,
Oh, wow.
everything's destroyed.
Right.
Luckily, some other people were a little luckier and didn't quite lose everything, but it's just been unreal. The flooding, like it flooded areas I've never seen flood in the years
Yeah.
we've been
I
here.
noticed that.
Yeah.
And by the way, when are we putting a sign out at Lake Oak Grove and making it an official?
Yes, we need to make
Look,
that
look,
official.
we were on our way home the other day. I think it was Saturday, and we're coming up Fort Campbell Boulevard, and there's the water next to the casino that's flood water. There's some guy kicked back on his backpack, just lounging next to the water like it was the best thing in the world. Like, this guy knows how to enjoy life.
That's right. That's right. But that is what it's all about, people. We're trying to keep Oak Grove together and
Yes.
make sure everybody can help each other out, because I mean everybody's going through a hard time right now, and that's I'm sure that's what the community wants. Just everybody to help out. And,
Absolutely.
you know what I mean?
It's what it wants and what it needs.
Absolutely.
Is for everyone to just come together and help each other out.
For
Because
sure.
this is all of our homes, you know.
Right.
This
These are our
is where we
neighbors.
live.
These are people we see every day. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And by all means, if anybody has any things you want to bring up to the mayor and council, the second Tuesday of every month is the city council meeting. There is open forum at every city council meeting. All you have to do is show up a few minutes early. You put your name on the list, and you're given a set period of time where you can say whatever it is you need to say. So please, if you have concerns or you want to bring things up or you're looking for answers, attend those meetings. And that's the best venue for connecting that information.
Absolutely.
All right.
Well, that's it for Gossip of the Week. And
Okay.
Thank you for coming and having
course.
us.
Yeah. So for everyone listening, make sure you hit that subscribe button and you follow us on YouTube. We're also on all your local podcast stations, so Spotify, Apple, wherever you're listening right now. Share us out to all your friends, and so they can catch all the latest on Oak Grove. So we'll see you next time.
What's the gossip?
Gossip in the